Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Terror. Season 1, Episode 5 is called First Shot a Winner, lads. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, conditions are notably worse.
Yeah.
To the point where they're being told, hey, if you travel between ships, you may have to stay in the one you end up at because the weather's going to get so bad that we might not be able to travel.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, what, 40 feet? Something like that? Not a
Yeah,
lot.
it's not far.
It's not far, but we're seeing like some excruciating scenes of people getting their toes cut off because they got frostbite.
Yeah.
Not pleasant, not pleasant at all. Also, the asshole doctor was just very kind of nonchalantly just cutting them off and not caring about anything that he was doing.
I think it's more he's just used to it at this point.
That's fair. He still strikes me as an asshole, though. In fact, the joke in this episode is about him being an asshole.
I'm not disputing that he's an asshole. I'm just saying this isn't the reason for it.
Oh, sure, but bedside manner's still a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I appreciate the practicality of it.
No,
Just,
he's been a dick.
screw it. Let's get the toe off.
No, be nicer to the person whose toe you're cutting off. Be comforting, perhaps.
Nah, screw that.
Anyway, so the drinking problem with Francis is getting worse to the point where he's down to his last two bottles. He's trying to steal the booze from the other ship, and there's no whiskey.
No, gin is particularly unhappy with, and I can agree with this man.
You can you?
Oh,
yes,
gin is horrible.
just gin and rum, and he would rather be shot than drink gin. So he's down to his last two bottles, and it's clearly getting bad. And ultimately, I mean, a big part of this episode is that so much crazy shit happens by the end that he is kind of like almost scared into sobering up. To the point where we get this big grand scene of him like getting Fitzjames, because obviously he's man Blanky, who's kind of his right hand man. He's the one who's helped translating with the girl and stuff. Not Good Sir, of course. Good Sir's been developing a relationship with her and trying to like develop the language. He's been building a dictionary, so much so that when he learns that the girl is going back over to the Terror because Fitzjames doesn't want him on the Erebus anymore, or the Erebus, sorry. He's like, I'll go with her. I want to go to that ship, even though the conditions over there are quite bad right now. Even though like the crew's half gone, because he even points out when he gets over the med bay is still quite full. Considerably given how much crew there's actually on the ship, there's a lot of men being sick because of the conditions. Because we see that even in the captain's quarters, they're still wearing scarves. They're still, they're really bundled up as if things aren't quite as insulated as they should be. But yeah, so the point I was getting to, he brings in the heads, the sort of the 3 or 4 other commanding officers who are right under him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to get very unpleasant and probably not be able to look after myself for the next while. Could be a week." And I like the way he's sort of been very kind of, because obviously he's very flawed. I mean, it comes with alcoholism, obviously, but I think what I like in this scene is he plays it with this sort of sense of like self-deprecating humour, where he's sort of laughing that he knows that he's that screwed up, where he's like, oh, maybe a week, maybe much more than that, but you're going to be in command, Fitzjames. Everyone else, you're going to have to like look after me. Take my gun. Do not give it to me again until I'm on deck. I'm in full uniform and I'm upside myself. And so, but it's this big grand speech, and I like that he never actually once says what he's doing. He just explains how difficult it's going to be and the precautions they have to take to do it.
No, it is nice because you get it from context. Like he doesn't need to say, right, I'm going cold turkey. I'm locking myself in a room without any. You just get it.
No, you get it, and you get the motivation. I mean, obviously it's running out anyway, so I mean he's going to have to go through this. But it's actually better that he makes the choice to do it before he's forced to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bigger thing for his character to make the choice, because again, it's being proactive. Now, you could be a cynical prick and say, well, yeah, but he was going to have to do it in a couple of bottles' time anyway. Sure, but it still means more that he chose to do it first.
It does.
But of course, he gets scared into this because the first half of the episode, there's a lot of, like, I think this episode plays really well in terms of showing how bad things have gotten, setting up a lot of little things. In the first half, the sickness is continuing because Good Sir brings it up with the other doctor, the less assholish one from there, the Terror he's on now, and he's describing the symptoms, because we were questioning is this scurvy, but I was saying that he looked more surprised, like he didn't know what it
Yeah.
was, whereas
But
he
as
would
soon
know
as
what
he
that is.
started describing it, the other doctor was like, scurvy.
Yeah, but he immediately goes, no, it's different than that. There's something else. To the point where later on he's actually like opening up the tins and he's like thinking, okay, is it the tanks with the lead in it? Is that what's
It sounds
causing
like
it?
lead poisoning, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is it something to do with the tins of food going wrong? And because he actually gives the monkey some food, he's like, here, test this,
Yeah,
monkey.
pretty much.
So so he's got his suspicions, and the doctor compliments that you're sounding more and more like an actual doctor. You're actually deducting these things and you're working these things out. So it's a good character there. There's a lot of good sort of moments actually, because when he's leaving and he asks his doctor, his chief, to go, he's like, can I go with the girl over to the other ship? And he's like, well, you've already asked the captain, and you're all packed, and he's been very like, oh, you've already made up your mind, and he's been very kind of passive aggressive, I guess, is probably the best way of phrasing it, and he sort of agrees, like, oh, you won't be missed here, kind of thing, like, again, putting him down on his way out. But he cracks a little joke, he's like, oh, don't forget to invite us to the wedding, saying, oh, he's got a crush on the girl, just, he's implying that kind of thing. And Good Sir actually hits back with a pretty strong rebuttal, where he says, has anyone ever invited you to a wedding? And then walks out.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
But it's actually like a really small moment where it even reflects on what just happened, because the guy who's getting his toes cut off, or the guy who's there in the room helping, is like, is he usually that cheeky? He's like, no, that's new. And just continues with the toe cutting. But again, it's showing that he's developing as a character. Almost like, despite the fact that by a lot of the more aggressive personalities' viewpoints, he should be the very sort of the definition of the person who breaks first, and instead he's flourishing and he's becoming stronger and smarter in these situations. Whereas other people who think they're tough, think, oh, we can take anything, they're the ones who are breaking down and deteriorating over the course of this journey. Or well, I say journey. This it stops being a journey when you're stuck, but
it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
But so I like that. It's like a commentary about keeping a level head and actually thinking about things logically, as opposed to bravado, and kind of the benefits and again, for and against those things. So I think that works really well. But of course, there's a big monster attack.
Of course, yeah. About time.
And we
Gotta have
mentioned
one every episode, haven't we?
Yeah, and we mentioned that Blanky, something happens to him, which obviously scares the captain into his wanting to be sober.
Yeah.
And basically, there's this big set piece where Fitzjames comes over to the ship, confronts Francis, and he's like, "Hey, you're supposed to be in command." And I actually laughed quite a bit, actually, because Francis immediately goes, "Get off my ship!" So just immediately, that's what he says.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of amusing, even though they're hitting at serious things. But the monster attacks up top, and everyone in the ship actually gets trapped down below. The exit gets stuck, and they end up having to sort of bash their way through. But during this time, the people up top, Blanky's the one who kind of says, right, other men, you go run and hide onto the ice. I'm going to sort of draw its attention. And he does so. So we get a bit of a chase. And what I thought was really well done with this chase is that it mostly kept the monster, again, out of view. There is some money shots. It's definitely the most money shots we've had of it in terms of up
yeah.
close.
But a lot of it is, you just hear it running around. You know where it is. You get maybe a paw and a claw here, but you're not getting a proper shot of it.
Honestly, I think the most effective thing is just him looking back, because he's always knows where it is. I think is the key thing for a lot of this scene. Once it becomes the chase scene on the ship, and I thought that was quite an inventive little chase scene, because it was like, he was outsmart. At one point he actually jumps across on the rope, and then he climbs up all the way up the sails. He's right up the top of the staff, and he's he's out there. He's hanging on, and the I'll just call it the bear for lack of a better term, is climbing out after him.
Yeah.
And eventually
we got a name of it this episode, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
Tunbak.
There you go. I'm glad you remembered that, because I wasn't going to. Yeah, Tunbak, which means like spirit who
wears the clothes of an animal.
Yeah, who wears the clothes of an animal? Because that's the big thing that happens before this is when Fitzjames comes back to the ship. Francis is determined to get some information out of her, so he's basically interrogating her. And Good Sir's there trying to be like a sort of a more gentle sort of in between, but it's getting kind of heated. And he's trying to ask these questions. And of course, as soon as they bring this up, or this spirit thing, like immediately he turns around to the guy at the door, like, "Hey, this does not leave this room. You do not want to go spooking the men with these ghost stories. Like, no, this is something that we keep contained." But yeah, so once they get out in the ship, it was a really sick moment. This happened before with the telescope with the eyebrow. But one of the guys touches the cannon, and like his entire palm of skin just rips off with a cold, and I was just like, oh my, that is easily the most like grisly thing to watch in the show.
It's the most horrific thing it's done yet.
Yeah, this really made me feel so. I'm like, oh no, oh that's painful.
Yeah,
don't do that. But it's actually again. But what I like is that Blanky actually comes off as being very capable, because he evades it for so long. You know, he goes up the mast and he gets out onto one of the sails, and they can't see him because, you know, the snow and the fog, everything's so thick. You can't see it. They can't see anything. They'll try to aim the cannon, they can't see a thing. And he pulls out, you know, his little candle or whatever it is. It's like a little thing, and he lights it, and he sets fire to the monster, and that gives them enough of a visual that they can fire at it.
It's a pretty good plan.
And it knocks him off as well. He's badly injured because at one point he gets his leg swiped at, and he's got a big, you know, gash, big open wound, and his leg.
Which leads to another nice little ending for him. In terms of, you know, in terms of the horror, you know, we talked about the frostbite toes. This is okay. Well, he has an amputated leg now.
Yeah, we start with cutting off toes. By the end of the episode, we've got a saw out, and we're like, you know, and again, because this is before we have the big speech from Francis about going sober and like instructing everyone. Look, I'm going to do this. This might take a while. Here's what we're going to do. The scene before that, because he sees what happens to his closest friend on the ship.
Yeah. And
we see that before he gets his leg cut off, he's there for that scene. He's there to help him. He offers him his whiskey, which is the first sign that you know this means a lot to him, that this person means a lot to him, because he has 2 bottles left, and he's saying, "Here, drink this. It'll help with the pain, because you're about to go through a lot."
Yeah, he gives him the whiskey. No, doesn't go for the gin.
No, that's my point. He doesn't go to the stuff he doesn't like. He says, "No, here's the stuff that I do like." It means more as a character beat.
It does, yeah.
And then he cut off his leg. It's really gruesome. It's really brutal, and it sells you the horror and the stark shock of it, that you never question in the next scene why he's suddenly wanting to be sober. This is enough. He sees this. He gets it.
Absolutely.
Worth pointing out on all this, the girl, Lady Silence, has run off. She jumps over the ship.
And I have to question, is the attack on the ship a distraction so that she can get away?
I think that's a very intentional question that's being posed by the timing of this.
Yeah, is it convenient? Like, is it just a coincidence? It comes and she makes the most of it? Or did it come because of her?
Well, I guess we'll find out if it attacks them when she's not there.
No, that's true.
And to be fair, I think it's already attacked some of them when they're not there.
It has, but but what I mean is it at her command in some way? She clearly has a bond with it, a link.
I'll let his command. I think you're reading into the superstitions of the soldiers themselves. I believe her when because she says in this when she's been asked, she says she's not tried to talk to it.
Yeah.
And I believe that, because it's so specific and weird, a sentence. You know, as if she could. Like, she knows she can, but she's not tried to.
No, it's true. But was this attempt... Okay, from its perspective then, it clearly has a bond with her, regardless of whether she's tried to communicate with it or not. It clearly has a bond with her based on, we saw it bring her the food. Has it made the choice to come and gone? That's why it's come now, to rescue her, essentially.
Why now? It's been a month.
That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that right now.
Yeah, I was just a devil's advocate. Why now? It's been a month. She's been there. They mentioned that at one point.
They do, which I actually have to say I'm starting to get a little conflicted with some of these time jumps. I get it that it spaces out the monster attacks and stuff, so it doesn't feel like they're all the time, and you jump to the big beats. But I am missing some of the minutiae with things like the drinking problem. Up until this episode, it didn't feel like a problem to the rest of the crew. It was something that they were aware about and they joked about, but it didn't feel like it had a real impact on them until this episode. And I feel like to have such a big confrontation in this episode about it, it didn't quite build up enough for me from their side of things.
The confrontation early on with Fitzjames, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Like because we get it, that's fairly early in the episode. I'm like, okay, I know he's got a drinking problem. I know you know he has one, but I haven't seen it have any impact that warrants this. Not really.
Well, we find out earlier on that he was trying to steal it from their ship.
No, no. That's what I mean. Like,
They
that's the
give
one
they give
thing.
us evidence in this episode to suggest how far it's gone. I think they do clearly show that. I'll maybe agree that I can see why it's not quite there for you when he confronts him. That said, I don't think it's a big enough deal because in the end of the episode when he makes his big speech about quitting the drink, it lands because it's his personal sort of decision. It kind of works for me.
No,
All
no,
that
I
stuff
get
does.
that. But it was like stuff like the early confrontation. I'm like, okay, I would have liked to see this have more of an impact on the crew, and like even here, I get, he's making this decision because this huge thing's just happened. He's like, no, okay, I've got to be sober now. But it felt like it was building up regardless of without this big capping incident. That I feel like I would have appreciated seeing more of that and how it's having an effect.
Yeah, I mean, I neither agree or disagree with it, really. I think, for me, the time jumps are kind of working because I think I said way back in episode 1 that the show has this kind of journal, like lost journal vibe to it.
No, it does.
And it almost feels like every time there's a time jump is because that's the next time someone wrote a journal entry. It's like, I've not written in a month, here's what's the important stuff that's happened since
No, it's true. And
last
no,
writing.
there are things that are clear benefits from the time jumps, obviously. But the downsides, I just feel like there are things that I'm missing. Every episode, I'm like, okay, there was stuff in that time that we just jumped that I would have really liked to see, and I feel like I'm being robbed of certain points of the journey.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel less robbed and more intrigued by what's changed.
Okay.
For me, it's like every episode has some element of discovery of okay, what's changed since in this time between
No, that's fair.
episodes, and I think I always kind of like that in at least this type of story because the mystery element is part of it, and even though it's mystery of the characters themselves, like everything seems to fit. Like because we're not talking about Hickey yet. Hickey, of course, last episode went through a big trauma with the
Yes.
lashings in his ass, and this episode we see that he's getting really the shit duty where he's helping dispose of the corpses with the two other guys that he was caught with, and we see that he's stealing rings from dead people. He's basically trying to like charm his ex-boyfriend into giving them information because his ex is one of the people who delivers food and waits on the officers, so he maybe hears things, he overhears things that could be maybe useful information to Hickey because Hickey's a devious little shit. He's basically the Dr. Smith of this show, just to reference Lost in Space. Maybe not done anything quite as heinous yet, but I feel like he's going that direction.
Yeah, I'm assuming that this is how the rest of the crew finds out about the spirit stuff is.
Oh, probably.
He overhears them talking about the stuff that's all just gone down, and passes it along.
Here's what I loved about this, right? So there's still stuff with him, so he's trying to manipulate him. Later on, like the other guy's getting scared about taking the body down into the pit because he's scared of ghosts. He's heard them speak, and again, maybe that's why he thinks that it's powerful to tell them about the spirit because he thinks, oh, they're all getting superstitious about all the dead bodies. And he like, oh no, I'll take it down. You just have the light, and you make sure that you watch out for us. And I'm like, okay. Anytime he's doing anything nice, he's at that point now where I'm like, you're doing this because you can cash it in later, not because you actually want to do it night. Want to be nice to the person, want to do a good thing. The scene I liked with him a lot in this, though, is the one with Good Sir, where Good Sir's with him, and they're setting something up or whatever, and he just as if it's small talk, Hickey starts like, oh, so Lady Silence is on the ship. Was she brought over to be questioned by the captain? And he's like, and Good Sir just kind of like stops talking and he goes, does that really work on anyone? And then just shuts the curtain and walks away. And I liked it because he knows because there's some people who just know what he's like. They're smart enough to see his bullshit, and he just walks off. Because that scene's before he talks the ex in to try to like give him information with the ring. So clearly that's motivation. Okay, that didn't work. I have to go to someone I can manipulate, someone who's weak enough that maybe
try a different avenue.
I have pull with. And again, it shows you just how sort of manipulative and sleazy he is to sort of like, okay, he didn't work. Okay, I'll try someone else, someone who's a bit more.
He is determined to get what he wants, so he'll. Yeah. It's not just this is here. I'll try this. While because the option's available, he's going out of his way to do this.
And Goodsword, and because right before this happens, Goodsword's actually saying, "Hey, don't lift anything heavy. You'll aggravate your injuries. You'll make them worse. You have to not, you have to take it easy to let your back heal." He's being relatively nice. He's giving him good, solid advice so it'll get better. But then the minute that Hickey tries to play him, he's like, "Yeah, that's not working on me,"
No,
and he walks off.
But that's the thing. It's like Hickey there. It's like you can kind of feel like he's going, it's worth a shot, right? He's here. I can ask. Worst case scenario is he says no.
He's got this little smirk in his face. It's like, oh well, I'll try, but I'll try something else because he's.
That's it. He's just like, well, I might as well give it a shot.
He's resourceful is the phrase I'm looking for. But no, he's just got this sleazy, snarky smirk about him all the time. And it's like, okay, so he's obviously still going to cause trouble despite what he's already went through. And it's all, and I almost wonder because he brings up the lashings in a roundabout way. Say this'll aggravate your injury. He's like, he almost wants to use him in response to that. Like, oh, you just brought that up in my humiliation. I'm going to, try and use you in return.
Okay, maybe.
Kind of that because it's funny because Francis, of course, like we spoke about last time, how he was, he was determined to like finish out the lashings and like sort of, have a show of power and strength and make sure that the men see him as the leader. And I feel like that this episode more veered towards him like sort of spiraling as he was drunk and the way he was like, "Oh, get off my ship," and blah blah blah. He's doing all these things.
I think it's really telling that the moment where the crew stop listening to him essentially is where he says, take the woman back to the other ship. She gets no protection.
Yeah, because it's all his right hand men. It's the ones who are closest to him in the ship who turn around and say, "No, I'm not doing that."
They outright refuse the order. And this is the thing. Last episode when he was dishing out the punishments, he was like, "Keep going." No one said anything because he was well within his rights to do that. They were being punished for a legitimate reason. So, like, sure, why not? They just stood by. Whereas here, where it's like,
someone in the comments did point out. Someone in the comments for last episode did point out they counted. They did not get a 30, apparently.
No,
I didn't check, but apparently it was 24.
Okay, fair enough.
Again, I don't care enough to go back and check and count myself. But
I believe.
But apparently it was 24, therefore he did actually stop early. Which at the same time, I don't necessarily think belittles his command, because I think at the point he stops, his ass is just a mush of red.
The point has been made, right? It's far beyond what was the original one. 10 lashings for the others, was it?
It was 10, then it got doubled to 20, then it became 30, then it became as a boy. It was,
Right, so, the others got 10, and you see what it does to them. The amount that he gets here, it's so much more than 10 that the point has been made. Sure, he might stop before 30, but it's way over 10. It's well beyond going easy on him.
Honestly, I would hasten... Other than the one doing the whipping, I would suspect that not a single man in that room even knew how many they were at.
Probably not.
Much like we couldn't keep count because we were just caught up in the drama of it. Other than the one who was whipping because he had to count. Because he's doing the whipping.
No, that's true.
I would hasten to guess that almost no person in that deck who was watching that was actually keeping count.
Yeah. The guy whipping him, Francis, probably.
Yeah, that's his job. Unless he actually secretly lost count, and he keeps looking over at the captain because he's like, "Was that 30?"
Yeah.
he's
Again.
Yeah, he's not looking for mercy. He's not saying, "Hey, I should stop this. This is nasty." He's just genuinely lost count. He's like, "Am I done yet? Not again."
Again. Oh, that would make that scene way funnier.
It would make that scene way funnier. And credit to that scene where, honestly, we're at a point now where it's really easy to despise Hickey because he's such a slimy character.
Yeah.
But you still have a bit of sympathy in that scene because it's so...
Yeah, it's really
brutal.
Conflicting, isn't it? Because it's like, it's so harsh and brutal, but at the same time you go, yeah, you did do this to yourself, and... you could have stopped. You could have stopped arguing. You made it worse.
Yeah. No, he did do it to himself. He absolutely did. I think the last thing we need to talk about with this episode, though, because we kind of glossed over it. We mentioned we got some money shots of the monster. We should really talk about that. Obviously, it still kind of looks like a sort of uber polar bear, basically. It looks like a monstrous polar bear.
But with a bit of a face.
How do you think it looked? CG?
and still a bit spotty. Still
Wasn't amazing.
notably stands out.
Yeah, it wasn't amazing. I think it helps though that we're constantly covering it in snowstorms and
Yeah, it's always in the dark. I think it helps that even here where we have the money shots, it doesn't linger on it too long. I'm never getting 10 seconds to stare at it.
it doesn't. And honestly, it looks better when it's on fire. Where's that? Because it almost distracts you from the rest of it because you're focusing on the flame.
Yeah, yeah. It looks better when it's on fire. It looks way better when it's in motion because it just, the movement helps.
Yeah. No, I thought that it's funny because it's really the one action scene in the episode is the chase sequence, but it's really well done and it is really suspenseful.
It is.
It really works because of that. Another small point I liked in that scene is at one point when they're trying to get the cannons lined up, even Fitzjames grabs one of the ropes and starts pulling. It's like no. Like even the captain's pitching in. We're doing this. Like he's one of his
right
men.
now, whoever's here, that'll do.
Because there's that little scene actually when he's grilling the crew on the Erebus about their hygiene. He's like, hey, those nails are a bit long and keep your collar tidier. And he's like, hey, it's not like you've got a lot to do out here while we're stuck here. You have more time than ever to keep yourselves neat. Admittedly, you've also, with so many of you in one ship, you have almost no time at the basin. But still, next week, there'll be no punishments. Is that right, man? And yeah, and I was like, you know what? He's actually a pretty decent captain by the sounds of it. He's very encouraging. He's telling them off, but he's not... It's like... Because the way he does it is, it's not, I will punish you. It's, no. Let's make sure next week there's not 6 men being punished for something. Let's aim for 0. He's more carrot and less stick, I guess.
It's more like, look, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna have to punish you. Them's the rules, but I don't want to. So let's get it sorted so I don't have to do it.
Because I think in the first episode he comes off as kind of unlikable, but I think seeing him in the crisis situations, he's a bit more
level-headed
and neutral. Yeah, I don't dislike him. I love him, but he's definitely not a bad guy.
Definitely not, no.
So no. No, it's a solid episode. I think it really sold how dire the situation is right now, and how things have gotten worse. Built up a bit of mystery, and the character stuff for Francis in particular is quite good. So
yeah, definitely.
So I know, halfway through the season, quite happy with what's going on. So I wonder if we'll see Blanky hobbling around next week with his
some makeshift crutches, I'm sure.
Can you make a peg leg? Have we got peg legs?
Why not? If pirates can manage it, anyone can.
Yeah. I'm curious, is that why... other than the fact that technology wasn't very advanced at the time, is it because they can just rip a table leg off something? Like here?
Probably. It's because, what's the one thing that there's a lot of on a ship? Wood. Right? Just take a bit off something.
Yeah, that is true. So, there you go. So we'll be back, of course, next week with episode 6. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?